800 episodes. It's been 800 episodes of the Boat Galley podcast. That's a lot of really great information about making boat life better, one little bit at a time. Hi, I'm Nico Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley podcast. In honor of today's 800th episode, I'm actually revisiting a Boat Galley Cookbook favorite, homemade yogurt. Today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast is brought to you by Lunatech, makers of the hydration spray bottle, odor-free dishcloth, and self-cleaning washcloth. Lunatech offers practical gear designed to save water and reduce waste. A water bottle that doubles as a garden hose, a dishcloth that doesn't get stinky? Yes, please. Visit lunatechgear.com to learn more. Use code BOATGALLEY to save 10% on everything. Lunatech, innovative gear for your outdoor adventures. Let's talk yogurt. Yogurt is one of the staples on Calypso, and it's really great to be able to make my own, which I first started doing thanks absolutely 100% to Carolyn's incredible recipe. Very practical, very hands-on, very easy to do that I found and learned about in the Boat Galley Cookbook. There's a link to a number of these things in the show notes. Check them out. It's really pretty great. But yogurt is definitely easy to make. You need a couple of simple tools, a couple of tweaks that make it a little bit easier, and a little bit of time. Don't plan on making homemade yogurt if you need something in a half an hour. This is not one of those kinds of recipes. First of all, yogurt starts, no pun intended, with a starter. And you can just have yogurt if you've got yogurt that's on the go that is plain, not flavored, that has live or active cultures. If it's in the States, it's going to be trumpeting this absolutely everywhere right on the label. And it really should not contain gelatin. And so that's actually something that you want to make sure that you look for if you're going to use yogurt as the yogurt starter. You can also buy commercial starter packs. And before we left to go cruising this time around, I wanted to make sure that I had a couple of those on hand, not knowing if I was going to be places where I could actually buy yogurt, and knowing that sometimes we're going to be places where we aren't around other cruisers, because if I'm around other cruisers, I can just hop on the VHF, go on WhatsApp, go on No Foreign Land, or go and knock on boats and say, hey, do you have some yogurt that I can have? But if you carry commercial starter packs with you, you don't have to worry about that. And since we knew we were going to be crossing part of the Pacific Ocean, there's no other boat around for 30 days and there's no store. So I bought a couple of commercial starter packs from the New England Cheesemaking Company, and there's a link in the show notes. One of the things that's been surprising here in French Polynesia is that actually you can buy yogurt starter packs, and they're available in many magasins here in French Polynesia. They're not refrigerated. They're just in the dry section. In addition to starter, you need milk. And you can use fresh milk. You can use powdered milk. The general wisdom on every website that I've seen is that long life milk, UHT milk, which is found in the Tetra Paks that you buy milk that's in the non-refrigerated section, that it won't work. Although I know at least one cruiser who says, oh, you absolutely can. Since we don't drink milk and I'm not going to buy something that I don't want otherwise, powdered milk is certainly the easiest. But according to this one cruiser, he has had no trouble at all making yogurt with UH2 milk. So go ahead, give it a try. I love using powdered milk, and it's gotta be full fat powdered milk. Sorry, that skim milk stuff that you find everywhere in the States is not going to cut it. And here in French Polynesia, very easy to find, incredibly high quality, good full fat powdered milk from New Zealand. In the States, before I left, I could find it often, oddly enough, in the baby section as Nido. You can buy Nido full fat powdered milk. So check that out. Walmart's one place that I've been able to find it. One of the things that we like about powdered milk, since we don't drink it, is that we can mix up just exactly the amount that we want, as opposed to having to open a container of milk that then sits in the fridge, takes up space that we don't have really in the fridge, and usually then goes bad before we can drink it. So we like powdered milk because we can make up just the amount that we need. You do need a wide mouth thermos. I recommend a wide mouth thermos because then you can clean it easily. And you need some kind of a thermometer. For a long time, I did make yogurt without a thermometer. My yogurt has consistently come out far better now that I have a thermometer. And there's a link to the one that I use in the show notes. And yes, you absolutely can buy specialty yogurt making machines. You can buy a self-contained thermos-like contraption called an Easy-Yo. And these are awesome and they're fun and they take a tiny little bit of work out of the process. But if you're limited for space, then you can use things that have multiple uses like a wide mouth thermos. Another trick that you can use for a wide mouth thermos is to actually use it as a thermal cooker. And Catherine Gonzalez used it on her Pacific Crossing using, again, the tricks that are in the Boat Galley Cookbook. So another plug for a wide mouth thermos for that. The process. I use my thermos, and this is for a recipe for a 3-cup thermos. I use my thermos as my measuring cup, and I fill it with water, and then I pour that water right into a saucepan, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. Meanwhile, I'm taking a generous cup of milk powder, and I'm mixing it, and I use a whisk to make sure that it's fully mixed all together with a half a cup of just tap water out of the faucet in a bowl that's large enough to handle your eventual 3 cups of liquid. Once the water's come to a boil, I turn off the heat and whisk 2 cups into that milk mixture, and then I pour the rest of that boiled water into the thermos and cap it. And that hot water, the boiling water, will preheat the thermos, which is great to help you get the yogurt to set the way you want it to. Now you take out your thermometer and you keep checking it and whisking it. I whisk it occasionally because then it kind of incorporates air and helps it cool a little bit faster. But once the milk is cooled to between 110 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to whisk in not a lot of yogurt starter. Now, if you're starting from a packet, pay attention to the instructions on the packet. But now that I'm just using my own yogurt as my starter, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons of yogurt starter. Often it's what I have left after we've finished eating the yogurt, and I've got just the scrubs that are on the side of it. That's really all that I use. But you don't need a whole lot of the starter. I pour the water that's been in the thermos back into the saucepan to be used for another purpose. Chances are good it's going to be used in beans or in pasta for later, or in the worst case scenario, it's used for coffee the next morning. Not a big deal. Then I pour that starter infused milk into the warmed thermos, cap the thermos, tuck it somewhere straight, usually. Often I tuck it in between the pillows on the bed, and I let it sit for 5 to 10 hours, depending on my schedule or what I've been thinking about. I tend to usually mix this up right before lunch and decant it after dinner, which gives it about a 7-hour time spot. Sometimes it'll go longer. I usually don't do it overnight, mostly because I want to wash the thermos, but it's not super picky about that. If you open the cap and it's not solid looking, then put the cap back on and let it sit. I would not probably look before 5 hours is up. And boom, you got homemade yogurt. In order to make thickened Greek-style yogurt, you just have to strain out the whey. There's enough milk powder in this that it makes a pretty thick yogurt anyway. But you want to line a colander with a couple of layers of cheesecloth or a linen towel of some kind. Put a bowl underneath it to catch the whey, because you can use the whey as liquid for your bread or in pasta sauce or something else. And I just dump the yogurt into the cheesecloth contraption and let it drain for at least an hour. The longer it drains, the thicker it will get. If you let it drain for 6 hours or 8 hours or overnight, you'll get something that's like yogurt cheese, like a mild cream cheese. It's a spreadable product. It's so delicious on crackers or toast. And you don't have to refrigerate the yogurt as it's draining. At least I haven't found that I needed to do that as of yet. And we are in the tropics. It's wintertime where I am, but we're still in the tropics. You might want to loosely cover it to protect it from bugs. But yogurt and yogurt cheese and those kinds of things, these were all created as a way to keep milk from going bad. So you don't have to have refrigeration to have yogurt or to have yogurt cheese. And the very first time we ever had yogurt cheese was actually with friends in Trinidad 30 years ago who didn't have a refrigerator on board. So there you go. There are a few more details in the blog post that's linked in there. But the most important thing, of course, is to get yourself a copy of the Boat Galley Cookbook, because there's that with information about thermoses and thermos cooking and yogurt making and other kinds of amazing things that you can have on a boat, because eating on a boat is just one of the small, incredible joys, especially when you've got things like homemade yogurt to be able to spice up your meals. I can't wait to share an anchorage with you, and maybe we're sharing our yogurt starters or bringing out whatever amazing yogurt something concoction that we've created, and being able to toast to our incredible good fortune at being able to live this amazing lifestyle. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. Hearing from our listeners, getting comments from you, helps us realize that we are helping make a difference for you and your boat life. Have the best week.